Welcome back to 610 Bricks. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the entire 2023 Speed Champions wave. A lot of people think that the 2023 lineup just consisted of 5 cars, but it actually consisted with 6 because the Paul Walker Skyline was released on January 1st. The other cars that you see in this video were released on March 1st, 2023. Each one of these vehicles also came equipped with their own driver along with a helmet. Some of these prints on these figures is actually pretty cool, and I'm going to show you guys what they look like in detail throughout the video. Paul Walker here does not have a helmet, but he's a pretty cool figure in himself. And then as we move along, you'll see the rest of the drivers lined up here. So first up on the list, I'm going to start with the Paul Walker Skyline. And this thing was awesome. It retails for $24.99 and it has a lot of really cool details. A lot of people wanted to cover up these exposed bricks, but I actually like them. They're not too bad and they don't really bother me too much. This set did have a lot of stickers, but it also had some pretty cool print like you see on the outside of the wheel arches and everything here, but the rest of the stuff was pretty much stickers. It has mostly brick built. It has a movable wing, and you can see that it has some like little exhaust pieces on the back and some really cool details. As we move to the front of the car, you'll see that it has GTR in the grille, and you can see the radiator and also the intercooler on the bottom. Opening this thing up, you can actually see that it has a lot of really cool detail on the inside, actually more than most Speed Champions cars do. This one has some really cool gauges in here and a 3-stack of nitrous. It also has a right-hand drive seating in here as well to keep true to the Nissan Skyline R34 style and having it as a Japanese import only, so it is right-hand drive. You can also see in the back of the car it has like a little bit of a roll bar here, and I'm trying to see if I can pull this off without really damaging it, but it has some little lighting techniques on the inside too with these clear little tiles in here that kind of give it the blue neons like you saw inside of the movie. One other thing that I really liked about this car was the wheel covers that LEGO gave it. So they're a little bit different than the standard ones that they give with the 5 stars or like those 15 spoke wheels that they have on most of them. And then most of the other cars, they're like black or gray, something like that. So it was nice to see something a little bit different. And if we move to the bottom, you can see it's pretty much the same construction as most of the 8-wide Speed Champions cars. So it has the chassis here, but then you can see some of these translucent blue bricks on the bottom that still move around to actually show that this car had some like neons underneath of it, or nowadays it's no longer neons, but more along the lines of LED lighting. But when this movie came out, it was definitely neons. And then lastly, with this set, you get the Paul Walker minifigure, and I think it actually does really represent Paul Walker pretty well from the movies. So he has a little bit of printing on him. He only has a single-sided face, but he has that blonde hair like Paul Walker did. But overall, really cool minifigure to add to the collection. The first car that I want to take a look at in the March 2023 lineup is the Ferrari E12 Competizione, and this probably was the one that I was most anticipating because I think it looks great. I think it looks exactly like the car, and LEGO decided to put it in the beautiful Rosa Corsa red with these yellow accents from the stripes. Now, a lot of people really hate stickers, and I'll tell you what, this set did have a lot of stickers. There was some other ones that had a lot more, but you could see on the side here, the racing stripes. The windshield is actually printed, so that's kind of nice, but then coming all the way down the back. And then one thing that I thought was confusing, actually in the instructions, the Ferrari print here, in the instructions, LEGO actually had you put it on upside down. So I had to take the sticker back off, reposition it so Ferrari read the correct way instead of upside down. Moving on to the back, you can see the stripe still flows, and then you have this Ferrari sticker on the back. I really like what they did with the exhaust on this car because they used a couple blasters, which I thought was pretty neat to get a really cool exhaust and to get that really nice square large tip like you would see on the Ferrari. Another thing that I noticed that they did, they actually put the printing on these clear, well, sorry, not clear, but this translucent red little pieces for the taillights here. And I think that's a great addition because it looks really great. And then moving on to the front of the car, you can actually see that they did some headlight printing instead of the stickers, which I thought was really nice as well. And then the front end of this car just looks really aggressive. I mean, this thing just looks super mean from the front. You can see how the fenders kind of stick up over the hood, so it gives it some really nice detail, some really nice curves. I really think LEGO nailed this car perfectly on what it represents as far as a Ferrari. And then if we take this off and we move to the inside, you can see those awesome headrests that have the Ferrari prancing horse printed on it. And then if we go around, you can see all the really cool details that they put inside this car. So they do have some gauges here, but there's no print or anything on it. But I really didn't expect them to put that because that's a lot of detail. But they do have like the little center stack on the inside along with the steering wheel. But I think these racing seats are really nice. This one still holds true to probably my favorite car. It wasn't my favorite build because, I mean, it is pretty standard build for Speed Champions. But so far, these 2023 cars are definitely impressing me a lot. And I've built a ton of Speed Champions. And there also is some new pieces on these cars, just like this chassis piece here. This is all new for the 2023 Speed Champions. And that's not the only pieces that are new. In some of these other cars, when we dig into them, you're going to see they have some really cool elements coming out in these new cars. So the Ferrari also comes with a driver, and he's pretty much wearing just like a button-up shirt with the Ferrari prancing horse on it. And then if you move to the back, he doesn't have much printing on him at all. He does come with this hairpiece, and he also comes with a racing helmet. He does have some pretty nice print on his face, though, with the beard and everything like that. So he's a nice addition to the car, and I really like to keep the hairpiece on him because the 812 is something that you could see rolling around on the street and not just on the track. Bringing in the next car in the lineup for March 1st, 2023 is this awesome Porsche 963. And I was really excited about this because this is actually my first like 24-hour Le Mans car that I built. And this is the 8-wide version. And I really think the 8-wide version looks great. We had a lot of 6-wide versions, and I know a lot of people weren't excited about this. But when I said stickers, people, this is the set. I mean, there is stickers everywhere. This is literally a sticker here, these 3 pieces on the front here. I'm pretty sure in total this car had like 30 stickers on there. The sticker sheet was really huge to make this car, and it was just crazy. Another thing that was new is this glass element here for the Porsche, and it's all printed up. And you can see on the side too, it actually has some window printing and everything to keep it separated, and I thought that was a really cool touch. I like how they did the wing here, and then they also have the dual exhaust, one on each side. And this giant Porsche wing on the back is really cool. And then you can see that it has like the F1 lights and everything on the back. So this thing had a ton of detail in it. If you flip it over, it does still have part of the new chassis piece on the bottom, but you can see that the car was extended to really get that length to make it look like a race car. And this thing sits super low. I mean, if I grab one of the minifigures and we can check it out with the driver next to it, I mean, this car sits even below the minifigure, and a lot of the Speed Champions cars are usually taller than a minifigure, but the minifigure is actually pretty much taller than this, except for the spoiler on the back, which is kind of expected because it's huge. And then moving into the cockpit here, it just has a single seat and a steering wheel, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty plain on the inside, but overall, I think it's a great car, and I like some of the building techniques that they used to get the angles on the front, to get the headlights and everything else. I think it looks great. The minifigure for this car was actually probably my favorite of the bunch because Lego's really sticking to that cool printing where it has the like metallic colors to it, and this guy's racing suit is just awesome. I mean, if you move to the back, he has printing all the way on the back that says Porsche on the back, Porsche Motorsports. You move to the front and you can really see kind of how that light hits it. You can see the little shimmer on that guy's outfit. And this thing was great, and I think that this was probably my favorite car that I was looking forward to. And moving on, we have the Pagani Utopia, and this thing is crazy. I mean, I was actually not looking forward to it because it's just pretty plain. You know, it is a pretty basic, just gray. Kind of reminds me of like when you build a Star Wars ship, you know, for Lego. They just have a lot of like gray elements on there, and I really wasn't that excited about it. But I'm going to tell you, the building techniques on this is phenomenal. And if you're going to pick it up for $24.99, it is not a bad deal. And this back end is just crazy. I mean, this full printed piece here for the exhaust and the way that they actually mounted this on the back. So you can see it does move. And it is pretty, you could solve it by maybe adding a couple pieces here on the bottom. You know, maybe like a hinge piece or something to keep it in place. But right now it does move around a little bit. So this one is definitely more along the lines for display. And remember earlier I was telling you guys about some new elements that Lego has other than just the chassis on the bottom. You could see these new slope pieces on here. And some of the old Speed Champions cars, and if I grab the Ferrari, you can tell. So the back section on the Ferrari is real big here and bulky. So it kind of adds to the bulk of the car. And these new cars are pretty small and streamlined, and they really want to capture the aerodynamics. And with these new plates, I think they did just that. And this piece does have a little bit of, or sorry, not this piece, but this car does have a little bit of stickers on there, but not too many. The headlights are printed on the front. You just have the sticker piece on the front here, the one in the center, the gas cap, and then you really don't have much other than that on this car. You do have a couple like little side wings as well that I forgot about. I really like what they did with the wheels here, how they gave the lip on the outside kind of that brushed aluminum color, but the inside is like the gunmetal gray, so it adds that really cool two-tone. And then also this windshield element is new for this year as well. And as you can see on the back of the Pagani, they actually put some drivetrain and also like the motor and stuff in here, so you can see what the motor looks like inside the car, which I think is a really cool detail. And like I said, this wasn't my favorite, but I'm going to tell you right now, after I built it, it probably turned into one of my top favorites of this whole entire lineup. And the interior in this car is just awesome. I mean, it has like that Pagani Napa leather color that they always use. So if you're familiar with the actual auto manufacturer, they use a lot of really high-end stuff in their cars, and Lego really captured that by putting it inside the car as well. This one is a great build and definitely worth picking up. Moving on to a close-up of the Pagani driver, you can see it's kind of like the Porsche. He does have that little like metallic print on there, so the light will capture it. You can see the shine on there. The front of the figure looks really nice, and then if you move on to the back, it does have some printing as well. Now moving on to what I thought was going to be my second least favorite of the bunch, we have the Mclaren Solus GT. And I'm going to tell you right now, this car doesn't look like much because it really doesn't have that much detail. But I'm going to tell you right now, the build was awesome. The build itself was really great. And I mean, I can't knock it at all. I mean, you had to hand build the whole entire chassis. You can also see that it has some of like the drivetrain pieces in here. So you can see that it's like all-wheel drive, stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. And like I said, the chassis is 100% hand built. Moving on to the car, you can see there really isn't that much detail. It has some print on the front for the headlights, a couple pieces in here that you can see that are printed on. Then you have some sticker pieces on those new slopes on the back. And then when you move on to the inside, it just has a little bit of a, you know, like orange and black interior to kind of match the rest of the car. It does have like this odd shaped steering wheel. It's kind of like a gaming controller. And then you can lift that up and put it down so you can actually get the driver in there pretty easy. And then it has this really large wing on the back, and actually making this taillight assembly was really cool, and I like how they did that. But like I said, guys, there really isn't much to this car, and that's why I think that these 2-pack is priced accordingly, because it's only $34.99 for the entire 2-pack. But this car was really fun. I mean, I really enjoyed building this, and I think the last 2 McLarens were probably my favorite builds out of all the cars, which was surprising because I really thought I was going to hate this one. And then moving on to everyone's favorite, I guess. I mean, it's the Mclaren F1 LM, not the Mclaren GT. We just went over the Solus GT. So this one is the Mclaren F1, and this thing is packed with a lot of really cool details, and it's actually the smallest car of the bunch. So it has a shorter wheelbase than the other ones, but the details are really cool. They also did some like clip front ends and everything like that, where it actually clips into place on here, just kind of like the Lamborghini that they did last year. And then this one has some of those new piece elements on here too, like these full slope pieces on the side here. This whole entire windshield is now new and printed. And then moving on to the interior, you can actually see that it has the seat right in the center like the McLaren. And I don't know if you could see it or not because it's kind of really dark in there, but you actually have 2 seats. You could fit a minifigure in here and a minifigure on this side. So if I grab the driver, I'm going to see if I can actually get her in there, but it's supposed to have a 3-seater. So you could probably remove this seat here, the back, and actually get the 2 people in the back, but it does have 3 seats, so you could sit a minifigure here, and then you can have the driver right in the center. And then moving on to the back of the car, you'll see that it has like these smoked pieces that kind of cover the hood, but I really like the back end of this car. I mean, it just looks great. How they did the turn signals and the brake lights. They have like the vents on the bottom, the F1 LM McLaren sticker on the back, and the wing itself is a just brick built wing, but I think it looks great and it's very fitting on this car. And one of the other things that I like, even though it's just the 5-star wheels, they came in this nice just like gray color, so it looks really good. And then this car itself, when you put this windshield on, I mean, I could see why it's a lot of people's favorite. And in this orange color, it just looks great. And inside the McLaren 2-pack, you also get 2 McLaren drivers. You have the one here, the female for the Solus GT, and she has some really cool printing on her as well. And on the back, it brings around to McLaren. And then I actually like this guy. He's the F1 driver, and he has just like this McLaren sweatshirt on, these navy blue pants. Just looks like he's chilling with his, $20 million car. So I think that's really neat. I've been building Speed Champions cars now for a number of years, but I think the 2023 lineup is an awesome lineup. It actually might be one of the best. I'm wondering if LEGO's going to do a surprise drop later in the year like they did last year with the Fast and Furious Charger and also the 007 DB5. That'd be pretty interesting because I'd like to see what they come up with. I also did a build of each one of these cars if you want to see how they're actually built instead of just a review, and you can find them here in this link here. I'm going to leave them private so you guys that checked out this video will have first access before I make them public. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really enjoyed these Speed Champions, and I hope you do too. This is probably honestly my favorite theme that LEGO makes. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to, hit that subscribe button. It makes me know that you like the content, and then I'll keep putting it out for you guys. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you next week. Let's start building.